Hey guys, today something a little different. I keep getting messages saying, oh, I really want to work on my bike, but I really want to do my own maintenance, but I really would love to have what you have, but, and most of all, I really want to do my own stuff, but I'm not as mechanically inclined as you are. So without further ado, enough with the chit chat, and let me tell you a little bit about what I do in my garage. As you guys can see, this time around I did not move around anything. This is the state, the pity state that my garage is in pretty much most of the times. I got the bikes on this side, I got strollers over there, I got lighting and pieces of wood on this side. On this side I have an old fish tank, some laundry stuff, because this is not just my garage, it's also the laundry, you know, washer and dryer, and I have to store something because this is my actual house garage. Therefore, well, just like any other person, I have to keep my extra stuff in the garage. All of this is just to say that you don't need to have a mechanic shop. You need to have wheel and a few mechanic tools, which we're gonna talk about. So what do you actually need to start doing your own maintenance? Well, personally, you need to be very meticulous. You don't need to be OCD, as I claim to be every once in a while, but you need to be meticulous because on certain components, it's important that you actually follow the provided specification, otherwise it might be dangerous. If you don't torque the rear wheel properly, the nut might come off as you're going and the axle can come loose. Same thing on the front brakes. If you don't torque properly the front caliper, the bolt might snap, leaving the front caliper useless when you're gonna need it the most. That's the kind of meticulous you need to be. You need to be following direction. Now, when it comes to those directions, it's not all in my head. Meaning, you don't need to be a mechanical genius to do your own maintenance on your own bike, especially nowadays with internet and YouTube. You can always go on and find somebody like me that already done it on his own bike and just copy and paste. Just be good at following directions. Pay attention to what you're actually doing. Leave your phone on the side, leave whatever else aside, and pay attention to the task at hand. That makes a giant difference. And as always, if you are in doubt, if you're not sure, you can always take your bike to an actual professional mechanic. I have a Ducati, I have an Aprilia, and I have a BMW. Those are three different machines, and I do not remember on top of my head everything I need to know about those three different machines. But that is why I get myself books. Easy as that. I recommended this book. This is for the BMW. This one has most of the torque specs and most on how to do pretty much anything on this bike. When it comes to the scrambler, for example, I downloaded online a manual. It's in PDF form. I printed out what I needed for every situation, and that's it. Same thing for the Aprilia. I go online and I actually try to look through the forum, through proper website, through the Aprilia website as well, and see what I need to know for that specific item I'm going to install. Now, when you're sifting through the internet, you need to be aware that there are a lot of people out there that know nothing about nothing, but they love to just yap about stuff. Therefore, double check your torque specs. Try to find 2 or 3 different sources that actually give you the same torque specs. But what are the tools, the essential tools that you're going to need to start working on your motorcycle? Well, this is at least the last 14 years accumulating tools, because that's when I moved to the States. And when I moved to the States, I literally came with a suitcase and a carry-on. I didn't have much, so these all came little by little throughout these years. One thing I would recommend is buy yourself a basic set of hand tools. This is the very first thing I bought, and it's a set with most metric keys, most standard keys, some sockets, some screwdrivers, some Allen keys. I started with that, and then from that I went on to buy other things. Don't worry if you don't have this giant array of tools. A few basic tools will actually do the job. If you're lucky enough to have a bench to do some of the work where you don't have to be all hunched over, but you can actually work at a certain height, that's best, but it's not really necessary. For a period in time, I was working on my washing machine. I would just put a piece of wood on top of the washing machine and work on there, because the height, it's about right. One of the tools I recommend having, especially if you work on a motorcycle, is a torque wrench, because there are very specific torque numbers that you need to follow, especially on the safety parts on the motorcycle, axle, brakes, and so on. Here is my torque wrench. Now, I started with a very simple torque wrench that cost little to nothing, bought at Harbor Freight, I believe, and I still use this today for stuff like lug nuts and other stuff that I don't really need to be that accurate with, but you know, I need something solid. And then I have my electronic torque wrench, which I use on the bikes, because when I need to torque my front brake bolts to a specific number, I want to be very, very sure. Another thing you might want to have are stands. This makes life easy, because you can actually put it on the bike and the bike will actually stay straight no matter what, making it safe for you to move from side to side. Once you buy a set of those, they're gonna be with you for most of your life. This is the set I bought when I bought my first bike over here in the States. And since then, I use this in, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 different bikes. Another thing that would make life easy, but is not quite necessary, it's a bike lift. I only bought the bike lift lately. Actually, my wife bought it for me. But that has made life so much easier, because now I can actually lift the bike up and work on it. And again, it is not necessary to have one of those, because you can just as well roll down a mat and just lay on the ground to do most of the work on your bike. So in the end, get yourself a few basic tools, get yourself some literature, or go online and find out what you need to know, and start small. Start from the little things. An oil change is not that complicated. An air filter is not that complicated. Start with that and start installing end guards or a light protector or whatever else, and then go from there. Eventually, when you start wrenching on bikes, different bikes at different time for different things, all that knowledge is gonna stay in here. And when you're going from a BMW F800 GS to work on an Aprilia, which are two wildly different bikes, you're gonna see some similarities. For example, the front sprocket that I change on my F800 GS is the same front sprocket that would fit on an Aprilia TUONO, amazingly enough. And on that note, the rear brake system on my Ducati Scrambler is the same brake system on the BMW F800 GS, but in reverse. The brake pads are exactly the same. So those bikes, those three bikes couldn't be more different from each other, but in the end, you find incredible similarities that if you learn to work on a single bike, you can most likely transfer your knowledge across the board. When it comes to the accessories, it's even easier. Axle sliders, the concept is exactly the same, a rod through the front axle that keeps the pucks in place. So don't get discouraged, just remember, start slow and go from there. Eventually everything is gonna fall into place, especially when it comes to your tool. Don't go out right now and spend $1,000 in 10,000 tools. You don't need it. Don't try to start by buying a bigger house with a bigger garage because you think your little garage can do it all. Just start with what you have and start working your way around. On that note, if you guys found value in this video, subscribe. If you like the video, give me a thumb up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down, because interaction apparently is interaction. Or if you think I said something wrong, just go in the comment, leave a comment down below and let me know so I can make it better and hopefully be of value to you guys, so you're not just wasting time while you watch my videos. On that note, in November I'm gonna have training because just like most people, I have a day job that I need to pay the bills. So in November I might skip a video here and there because I'm gonna be going somewhere in the country to do my simulator training, and I obviously not gonna have time to do all this. In the meantime, ride on, and I'll see you next time.